Fantastic. Thank you, Izzy. So, yeah, worth doing a very brief bit of background on Vouch first, as some people may not be aware of it. Vouch is a multi-client validator. So what it does is it talks to multiple beacon nodes and works on the basis that, given the way that the beacon chain works and the way that peer-to-peer network works, is that there's no guarantee that any one single node will have the best view of the network at any one time. So Vouch is focused on security and resilience. It looks at information from multiple beacon nodes before it decides what to do, before it tests, before it proposes blocks. As a result of that, it's also a high-performance system, very, very focused on providing fast operations regardless of the scale. So you can run it with one validator, you can run it with 1,000 validators, and it's designed to do everything it can to sort of provide the information it needs and the attestations and the proposals and the sync committees and similar, and get them all out as fast as possible and in a resilient way as possible. So reason for this chat is because there is a new version of Vouch that will be coming out in the next few days. That version of Vouch will be version 1.7. So what's coming in 1.7? First thing, and most important thing, is going to be full support for Capella. So Capella, as we know, has already been released on the Zhejiang testnet. It's coming to Sepolia next week. We expect to see it in Goerli a couple of weeks after that, and mainnet probably, I would imagine, 2 to 4 weeks after that. So now is a good time to have a release out. It allows everybody to plan upgrades, have the system ready, and be fully Capella ready. And that's roughly in line with a lot of the beacon node releases, a lot of the execution client releases that we're seeing at the moment. There's really a push to make sure that they have Capella ready releases out there, Shanghai ready releases on the execution side. As a result of that, we're working with those guys and making sure that Vouch will be able to run alongside them. Outside of the basic support for Capella, kind of the upgrade system, there are a few additional features that have gone into place. One of them is an upgraded execution configuration engine. So being able to define for your validators which relays they use, gas limits potentially, minimum bids, all that kind of stuff. Very, very useful. Obviously, looking at fee recipients is very, very important for multi-client systems. So you may have one version of Vouch that's running, it could have 10, 20, 30 validators. Those validators might actually be owned by different entities. Because of that, you need to define what relays they talk to, what their fee recipient is, all of that kind of stuff in a way that is both easy and also legible for you. You need to be able to understand this stuff. So there's been a rework of a lot of the pieces inside Vouch on the execution configuration to make that a lot more simple, a lot more easy. So initially, it's a fully hierarchical configuration. What that means is you can just set defaults, and those defaults will propagate through all of the validators being used. So, for example, you can set a bunch of relays. They're your default relays. Everything will use it, but then you can override. So you can say, well, actually, everything's going to use these 5 relays apart from these 3 validators. Those 3 validators are only going to use 2 relays, and those 2 relays may have different configurations. So being able to tweak and change things like that allows people to run Vouch with a large number of validators across a large number of different configurations without needing to create a very large per validator configuration file, for example. So that allows a much smaller, a much more compact system. Obviously, that means it's more maintainable, easier to update, easier to change. One of the features that has come in, we've added, there's the idea of the minimum bid. Minimum bid is something that exists in MEV Boost, however, it only goes, it's sort of like a single value. So you can set it once, and that then applies to every relay out there that MEV Boost may talk to. Within Vouch, you can have a per relay minimum bid. So it might be you say, relay X, I'll take anything half an ether or more. Relay Y, I'll take anything 0.1 ether or more. So again, you can change that. And again, those can be set on a per validator basis or a per group basis. As a result of that, it gives you, again, a lot of flexibility. This is especially the case if you're dealing with customers who potentially might want to be able to turn around and say, okay, well, I have a certain set of requirements, And then you have another set of customers who might have a different set of requirements. Obviously, as far as Lido is concerned, we have specific information on the required relays. We have specific information on the accepted relays. So again, being able to set all of that up pretty easily is very, very useful. So that kind of thing, again, very, very powerful. It's going to tie in with some additional work that we're doing. We'll start to actually provide ideas of what a min bid for each separate relay may look like. So that's sort of an up and coming bit later on. The other point of the reworked execution configuration is that we're focusing on the ability to provide a separate set of configuration items per Ethereum wallet or per account. So again, a lot of the stuff that we've built from ETH2 and upwards around the idea of wallets and accounts, all of that comes into play as well. So if, say, you have a bunch of customers, each customer has their own wallet, again, you can set information quickly and easily for each one of those. A new account is added to a wallet, it'll automatically pick up all of the configuration information. Configuration information is also dynamic. It is reread every epoch. It can also be retrieved remotely. So if you have, say, a backend database where you store this information, you can have a very simple daemon that just gets a list of public keys, and from that it will return their configurations. So that type of thing, again, very, very powerful, very easy to use, and gives you a lot of scale. Outside of execution configuration, again, though, sticking around MEV, we have improved our MEV relay interaction. So one of the things we didn't do in the past was verify bid signatures. So if you supply a public key with a relay, then we will verify the bid signature and make sure that everything is correct. We also do more detailed analysis of the MEV bids before accepting them. So previously, we'd look at a number of bids, accept whichever one was the highest. Now we do a lot more checking of them. We've seen instances in the past where bids have had a high value but been invalid. We can now pick that up ahead of time to make sure we don't accept a bid that could be invalid and stops us from being able to propose. We also group the same bid that comes in from multiple relays. One of the things we've seen more and more recently is that we're seeing more builders sending their bids to multiple relays. This is actually a very healthy thing for the network, because as we all know, the one thing that can go completely wrong with MEV is we fail to unblind the block. We fail to get the actual block back and the transaction list back from the relay after we've signed the header. If that information is with multiple relays, that increases the resilience of the MEV system overall significantly. So that's something that's really, really useful to see. Very excited to have that. And now that we've seen that, as we said, we can now pull that block, the unblinded block, from multiple relays. It gives us, again, a significant speed up. So one of the issues is it might be that a relay can return the unblinded block to us, but it might take 2, 3, 4 seconds. We have seen instances where these take a long time. If that block is in multiple places, then we'll always get it from the fastest. So that kind of thing, very, very useful. Outside of MEV, a couple of other bits. We have preliminary support for DVT technology, especially around the OBOL product. So we're looking at how we can work with them. A lot of that is slightly different in the we would pass signatures, but signatures are not necessarily valid because they're only piece signatures, the signature of one of the participants rather than a complete signature, things like that. So we need to alter some of our checks and balances to make sure we understand we are living in a DVT world. So that's something that's in, again, preliminary work, but anyone who wants to run that, please do let us know how it goes. We have general performance improvements and bug fixes as always. And the other item actually that is of interest is we've added open tracing support. So we did have tracing support in previously, but it wasn't completely comprehensive. At this point in time, we've added in full tracing. What that means is if your instance of Vouch is ever running slowly or not doing something you expect it to do, you can throw open tracing on. It will monitor every action. It will keep track of events and results and can give a really, really clear view as to exactly what is going on inside the validator. So it's one of those things that's incredibly powerful to have and to use. Generally speaking, you won't have it on all the time. You'll throw it on when you start seeing issues. That will start to tell us what's going on. In the past, it's helped us in our dev systems to pinpoint errors in certain beacon nodes where some might be returning slowly. It's been very, very useful for us as one of those areas where if everything does go a little bit wrong, you can dig in very, very deeply to understand. So that's the short set of updates. As we said, there's a whole bunch of little bug fixes and performance improvements and similar, but they're the headline features. We expect the release to come out probably within the next 48 hours. We're obviously pushing out ahead of the Sepolia Capella upgrade. So anyone running Vouch on Sepolia, you'll have an upgrade in time to put in before next Tuesday when we move to Capella there. And that is pretty much it. Thank you very much for your time. And if you've got any questions, please ask away.